Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble while following us on Facebook, or find us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for past episodes, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe or follow today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Hello and welcome wherever you might be on a spaceship we call Earth. This is Conscious Radio Network's The Seance Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, please subscribe, like, share, and comment. And don't forget to listen to wherever you listen to your podcasts. Our guest today, President of Progressive Awareness Research Incorporated, and co-author of over 200 personal motivation audio programs and 2 books. With over 30 years of research into the workings of the mind, she focuses on how we can use this knowledge for personal development. Her latest book, Mind Training, The Science of Self-Empowerment, draws from over 200 scientific studies to create a powerful self-help curriculum. Let's welcome to the seance for the first time, Ravinder Tylor. Blessings, my friend. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on, and what a nice way to bring me on. A nice round of applause. I can do with that.
Everybody deserves a round of applause. Everybody. So, we definitely want to touch on the book today. But give us a little bit of a backstory. I saw your website, very expansive. Lots of information, lots of book that you've helped co-written and been part of. Give us a little bit of backstory of where this started and what this culminated into.
I come from a background of science. My degree's in microbiology. And there was a time I did not believe in any of what some would call the woo-woo stuff. I didn't at all. In fact, I went to a mind-body expo, mind-body-spirit type expo, when I first encountered Reiki.
Yeah.
And I cracked up. I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed to admit it today. But at the time, I totally cracked up. You mean for $50, you'll give me this energy, and for $75, you'll give me the ability to give other people this energy? And I laughed at it. I have since learned that while my passion is with science and very solid tools and techniques, there is a great deal that we don't know. And there is a lot to be gained by keeping our minds open to learning new things. There is a lot more to the world than shoes and ships and sealing wax. It was a hypnotherapist who came. I was working in the Path Lab at the Leicester Royal Infirmary, and there was a special presentation being done for the doctors, nurses, or lab staff. And it was an anesthesiologist who practiced hypnotherapy on the side. And that was where I really made a shift.
Yeah.
Because I got to see that the technique was totally real. It just happened that the auditorium was totally filled. But it just coincidentally, the 3 people he brought up to demonstrate different hypnosis techniques on all happened to come from my lab.
Huh.
So I knew for certain that they weren't shills. But then what I learned too is how past experiences or traumas or things that upset you, things in the past that you've forgotten about, that you would have thought that you would have totally healed from, how they can have an effect on your present. And from there, I did a deep dive. I underwent hypnotherapy myself. I then did a 3-year course in hypnosis and psychotherapy. And then I met my husband because he was lecturing at the school of hypnosis and psychotherapy that I went to. And he was teaching about subliminal communication, something else that I had totally laughed off.
Yeah.
I just thought the whole thing was a joke. But then I saw the validity of it, and I've just done a deep dive, 35 plus years of researching how the mind works, how we learn, but more importantly, how we can use that information to improve our lives. Without the practical, it becomes pretty
Yeah.
meaningless.
It's amazing what that's stuck in here, and not only in here, but in the other parts of the body. The past traumas. There's so much involved in that. We're starting. I mean, not really starting to learn, but we're kind of recognizing. Whoa, this type of science. It's incredible. Where do you see the future expanding, and how it's going to expand this type of research in the near future?
There are people who are constantly searching it. I actually don't know. I don't know the answer to your question. There's lots of ways that it could go. I
Mm,
mean, there are those people who want to believe so deeply in the extraordinary, the paranormal, whatever, that they will follow anything.
yeah,
And there are those people who are so closed off to it that they will shut everything down totally. For me, it is a constant search for, I don't like to use the word truth, but I'm constantly trying to find that bigger picture, that reality, that the stuff that is solid out there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so where it will go, I don't know. The fact is, people are, forming their cliques more and more. We were talking before we came on the show about social media and algorithms and the media, the news. They're always trying to funnel us into these different, they want us to be angry.
yeah,
They don't care if we're on the left or on the right, as long as we're spending money with them. So they're not interested in the truth. So yeah, I don't know where things will go. We're at a tipping point, I
mm,
think, with the way media and technology and AI is coming along. We're at a tipping point, and it's going to take a lot more effort to find our way through the manipulations that are going on everywhere and to actually hone in on where the real answers are. And the real answers aren't in the really big, exciting, shocking stuff. They're in the normal day-to-day details.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, like you mentioned, what before we started recording, is that I'm seeing a little bit of a shift where people are starting to kind of just break through that barrier of past beliefs that have been, keeping us in a box, and just so close-minded with, the blinders on, like it's only this and that's it. The openings, people starting to opening up and realize the bigger picture, that hey, we need to look at things with an open mind, still with some level of discernment, but realize that there's so many other things out there that can help us, that can raise our vibration, that can serve us as a whole, as a collective. And yeah, I'm starting to see a little bit of a shift. It's slow. It's one person at a time.
It is definitely one person at a time. You talk about that shift that goes on. There's been a great deal of research done. There are some, great minds that will tell you adamantly that free will does not exist. Everything has a precursor, your genes, your prior experiences, all of this kind of stuff. But what I have seen with, the research that I have done, or I've investigated research done by other scientists, um, It's true that our subconscious mind is a repository of all of this information. And lots of our choices do come just automatically from the subconscious mind. But we have the ability, once we learn how it works, we have the ability to pay attention to how it consumes information, the biases that we follow. And then when you're talking about these other techniques like alternative health treatments, lots of alternative ideas. The fact that we have the power to change our lives if we can take a hold of that. But with the discussion on free will, what to me is the most beautiful part of it is okay. We are a product of our past experiences. But right now, you and I are here having this conversation. There are people listening into the conversation. If they can believe that we have the ability to take control of our lives and actually create the person we want to be, as
Mm.
opposed to being puppets on, being controlled by other strings. If we can do that, then our lives change. And then the people around us get to see because we believe that we have the ability to change and we've changed our lives, then the people around us, people who would normally say, no, that's all garbage, well, they will see the improvements that have gone on and then their ideas will change. And then perhaps they too will try some of these alternative techniques and tools, and their lives will change. So to me, that's the beautiful spiritual part of it. Free will isn't free, but the more we can teach people that you can gain free will, you can get more and more of it if you make the effort to do so, and you can improve your life. You don't have to be just operating on automatic.
Yeah. Do you have any like breakthrough stories of any clients or people that you know that was once here, now they are much bigger, much happier, much different person? Their life has changed. Any breakthroughs that you would like to share?
Paul, you can just look at my own life. Look at my own life totally. I came from a scientific background. Um, I came from a strict religious background as well. My family were Sikhs. My family are Sikhs. And there was a time I was very, very devout. But I have moved through that. Everyone that, if you talk to anyone from my past, they will tell you how much I have changed.
Yeah.
My life experience has been incredible, absolutely incredible, but it all happens one step at a time. So yeah, I've explored spirituality a whole lot more. I've explored alternative treatments. I work some with crystals. That's not the focus of the mind training book, but I've had some very definite experiences using crystals. I don't know the science behind it, can't always replicate it, but I've got a crystal one that I made myself. I took it as more of an arts project when the
Yeah.
boys were young. And my husband, was demonstrating to them some of his stuff with crystals. And I didn't believe in any of this, Paul. I didn't. Um, but so he taught us how to make these crystal wands. We call them a wand. It's a bit like an and to me, as I said, it was more of an arts and crafts kind of project. And my husband says to me, just choose the crystal that talks to you. It's like, what are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. But he had taught me a little bit about the meaning of different crystals. And so I was thinking, okay, I'm into peace and love. I'll get rosy quartz. That's about love. But then when I picked that one up at the store, it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
So I went for an amethyst instead.
Mm.
And I built this wand, and mine is very pretty. I talk about it in the newsletter. I talk about it on Facebook some. It's a very pretty one, but again, I still didn't believe it. But then, and here you can kind of get a bit of a dichotomy from the science and the spirituality, because after my youngest son was born, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis.
Mm.
It was not pretty. It was really scary. My son was 3 months old. I was having problems changing his diaper because I couldn't hold his legs up with my left arm to put the diaper in underneath. He was 3 months old. How the heck was I going to take care of him as he got older? But I used lots of the techniques that I outline in mind training um, to take control of that, to enhance the placebo effect, to look in my past at past traumas to see why I was doing this to myself. I took self-responsibility to that ultimate degree. Why was I inflicting myself with this illness?
Yeah.
I looked at everything. I did all of that stuff. And I did cure myself of it. Now, once you've had something like that, you can have a bit of paranoia that it's going to come back.
Mm.
So that process took me 15 months before I found my cure and I could come off the meds. I had tried before, totally unsuccessfully, but I found my way. I came off the meds totally. But down the highway, every time a joint would hurt, every time, my knees hurt or this or that hurt, I would use this crystal wand. I promise you, I cannot explain it, but every time I use it, and sometimes I would test myself. So it's like, okay, my thumb hurts.
Mm.
It's going to heal by itself. It's going to heal by itself. It will heal by itself. Several days go by and there isn't any progress with it at all. Then I would use this crystal wand on it and the pain would go away.
Wow.
And it's happened to me. I haven't done it with anybody else, but it has worked for me. It's been, about 25 years since I cured myself of the RA. And in that time, there's been various things. I've had various aches or pains or whatever. I may have injured myself. I've actually got a trash compactor at home that doesn't work very well. So I always have to lift it up in order to pull it out.
Yeah.
And if I do that when the trash compactor is full, it's kind of heavy. So there have been several times I've injured my wrist a little bit because I'm doing it repeatedly and
Yeah.
then my wrist starts to ache. Just dumb stuff like that. But I would use this crystal wand on it and it would clear it up.
Eh.
Clear it up. I can't explain that. I can just tell you 100% that every time I've done that in the last 25 years, then there's probably about 20 times, and it's
Yeah.
worked on me every single time. So yes, while I'm heavily invested in science, I like stuff that we can replicate. I can't replicate my crystal work on somebody else.
Mm.
So that's
Yeah.
why I like the science. I want the hard, solid that everyone can do and it's going to work for them. But while I'm into the science, I always keep an eye open to other things. I've received inspiration. I've received answers in the strangest way. I tell you what I find that really interesting though, Paul.
Yeah.
My husband wrote a book, Mind, Meaning and Mysteries. Um, what does that mean? Mind, Meaning and Mysteries. That's the full title of it. And he talked about his life and some of the extraordinary experiences that he had. And I read the book, and it's fascinating when you hear about somebody else's, miraculous experience. It is fascinating. But I was thinking, how can this relate to me? And what I discovered as I read his stuff, I started remembering experiences of my own that defied logical explanation. And what I found was they're so easy to forget. We can have these experiences, but because the world out there tells us that it's not real, then we dismiss them. So what I've had to do is I have to write them down. I have to write them down because that's the only way I can remember. Oh yeah, that was that was a really strange experience, and we've all had them.
Yeah.
The more we talk to people about it, the more we discover everyone's had these experiences. So why we forget them, I don't know. But a great technique is to write them down, and then you start looking at it, and that gives you a bigger perspective on life itself.
Yeah, that happens to me quite often. Sometimes, like right now I'm in the middle of writing a book too, and it's I'll get this idea and it's like, oh my God. I'll either record it, try to do an audio recording, like I'll just like dictate it on a recorder or something like, and then, or it's like I have to write a note down somewhere, and I can't find paper. I can't find a paper. I can't find pen. I'm racing, trying to find something before I forget it. And then once I do, either dictate it, vocally or write it down, I'll come back to it later, a couple days later or whatnot, and go through it and use these as some certain key points within, for the context and stuff. But yeah, it's we got to write some of this stuff down because otherwise, it leaves. It's almost like mediumship, when you're trying to give a message to somebody. It's like for a medium, you lose that information. You got to deliver it right away because you're not going to know anything about it. You won't remember it. It's gone. So.
That is very true. But I do think it's worth everybody taking a bit of time to just write down the extraordinary experiences that they have had.
Yeah.
When you write them down, um, then you'll remember them, and over time that list gets longer and longer. It's not like I've only had one or two. Do you think I can remember any of them right now talking to you? Not really. There's the occasional. There was a drive my husband and I took from Big Bear, California, when we were moving up to Spokane, Washington. And as we were driving off the mountain of Big Bear, we had two cars. He was in front of me, and I hit a rock. There wasn't enough time. I was too close behind him, and I hit this rock, and he calls me and says, is everything okay? Did you hit that? I said, I hit it, but everything's fine. We drove for, 5, 6 hours that day. I think I had my young son in the car. My husband had the animals in his. We drove 5, 6 hours. That evening, we pulled into a place at a hotel, went in. The following morning, I come out to the car. The wheel isn't even round anymore.
What?
I had no inkling the entire drive that there was anything wrong, but the tire was flat, the wheel was, yep, not
Whoa.
round at all.
Hmm.
So something was protecting me.
Yeah.
And that is an amazing experience. That is an absolutely incredible experience. But if I hadn't taken to writing this stuff down, I wouldn't have it. I think there is some kind of veil. Maybe, I don't know. But
Yeah.
these kinds of things, we will tend to forget.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, it's like we gotta, like it's like the brain has this weird shut off valve to, wow, this doesn't serve you anymore. Let's put this in the background. Let's put this in the subconscious and let it just sit there and until it's needed at some point. Or we don't want to overload the cortex and stuff.
Yeah, well, you've also got society.
Yeah.
Society tells us that this isn't real, that science is the most important. So you get that, and you don't want to be considered weird or wacky or anything like that. You want to be in the group of people who are normal. We are herd animals. We
Yeah.
need approval and acceptance. We don't want to be laughed at. And lots of people will laugh at this stuff. But I would suggest to everybody, start thinking about it and then write it down. Create a list. Have a place where you keep that list. I've got that list on my computer.
Yeah.
Um, and then that will just keep you alert to the fact that there is more to the world than shoes and ships and sealing wax.
Oh yeah. Got that right. Now about the book, let's bring up the book. I got a picture of it there. There we go. Mind training. Explain a little bit about the book without giving too much away.
Mind training is very science based. As I said, I was getting tired of people throwing out. See, what you can often get in psychology, there can be lots of great books on psychology, but they don't tell you what to do with the information. And
Mm.
then when you go to the personal development, self-help fields, there are some great books there, and they will tell you do X, Y, Z, but they don't tell you why. And when you don't have the information as to why to do it, then you can't personalize it for yourself. We are all different. We have different tastes, different proclivities. There's an exercise that I talk about in mind training, a particular meditation exercise that has been shown to reverse dementia, decrease depression, just all of these benefits across the board, and the science has been replicated. There are like 6 or 7 research studies with different researchers at different universities. So the science there is very, very solid. But when the information first came out, they announced, this particular 12-minute meditation that had all of these great effects, but they gave explanations for it that were not correct.
Mm.
And I knew that because it was based on a very, very fundamental Sikh teaching. So I picked up on it. They tried to say that the words didn't matter, but I knew what it was. The moment I heard it, I knew what it was. And so I went through all of these different explanations, and I go through that in mind training. And then I say how I believe these techniques really work, why they have the different elements. It wasn't to do with acupressure points on the inside of your mouth, because different people pronounce words differently. I
Yeah.
mean, the words that were being used were from the Sikh religion. They are Punjabi, and most people aren't going to pronounce it correctly. So if you don't pronounce it correctly, then your tongue hits different parts of your mouth. So I went through all of this, and then I demonstrated how you could make it your own, which is what the self-empowerment part of this is all about. I wanted the reader to have the tools to say, well, I'm not Sikh. I don't want to just have random words repeated. Maybe I'm Buddhist and I want to use Om Mani Padme Om,
Yeah.
and it's like, go for it. Go for it. That faith is going to give you a whole lot more. Tie in, bring in everything that you can. So I said, my training is science based. I go through how we learn information, um, where we can look in the past to find traumas that we may have forgotten about, what we're supposed to learn at different stages of life. But at the end of each chapter in mind training, I will explain why, the importance of the information, and also give you tools how you can put it into practice. When you start putting stuff into practice right away, then you have a much better chance of remembering, and you can create small habits that, once it's habituated, you don't have to think about it. So they don't take time. Once you've learned the techniques, once you've learned these simple things, once you understand them, once you learn how to incorporate it into your normal day-to-day life, then you can enhance your experience. You can reduce stress. You can increase health and wellness. You can eliminate self-destructive behaviors. We all have some of these. It's just part of life. But you can get into the driver's seat of your own life. That's the whole purpose of mind training.
Yeah. Putting us personally in control of our own healing. Um, Now, so I tell you, some of these mantras too are, especially when they're sung. I've listened to some traditional Vedic and Buddhist mantras, and in some of them are beautiful when you hear the the music and the sound of them, and then the frequency when they're done right traditionally. It's like, whoa, you could just feel it's just the change in the frequency, atmosphere, everything. It's amazing. Um,
There is an energy to it as
mhm,
long as you're open to it. But if you're not open to it, repeating a mantra that you don't believe in is not going to have the same benefit because you're going to block it. You're actively going to block it
yeah,
because of your own disbelief. So therefore, as I said, I wanted to open this up. So you choose what it is that suits you and then do this exercise.
yeah, yeah. Now let's see. After studying the mind for 30 plus years, um, what seems to be the most surprising discovery that you've made as far as the human behavior?
The most surprising discovery, my training is full of them.
Hmm.
You know, it's like, okay, which one is the most surprising? Is just quite how much power we have.
Yeah.
You know, we have so much power to reduce stressful situations. There are simple techniques. The simplest can often be the most surprising.
Yeah.
So the one that I talk about, um, and I provide all the science behind it. So you don't just have to take my word for it, but the power of smiling. There was some research that was done where they looked at, there was two different research studies that I talk about in mind training. One where they looked at baseball cards and one where they looked at high school photographs.
Mm.
And they found that they could predict how long someone would live based on how much they were smiling.
Wow.
So if they had a small smile on their face, they would live on average 2 years longer.
Huh.
But if they had the full Duchenne smile, that's the smile that reaches up to the eyes where your eyes crinkle up and you have that full smile, you have the full Duchenne smile, those people would live 7 years longer.
Huh.
And then they took it further, additional research. This was out of Cardiff University in Wales. They looked at Botox. And when they had Botox to remove frown lines, people were happier. When they had Botox to reduce the smile lines, they got more depressed.
Mm. Mm.
I found that fascinating.
That is
I found
fascinating.
that fascinating. But it talks about the two-way street. So again, rather than, just being a puppet on someone else's strings, rather than saying, okay, when I'm happy, I smile, you can say, okay, if I smile, that will encourage the brain to produce the endorphin, so I will feel happier. It can be that simple, and there's lots of tools. I am a kitchen sink kind of person. I will bring in all of the different techniques. But using a combination of the smiling, diaphragmatic breathing, and the smiling and the diaphragmatic breathing, I actually tested it out myself looking at blood pressure. And within a matter of a minute or two, I was able to drop my blood pressure about 20 points.
Wow.
Just just using these techniques. And so you think about it, you don't have to sit there and smile X amount each day. You just pay attention to how much you smile, and then you think about how you can help other people.
Yeah.
When you smile at somebody else, you make them feel better. So then it becomes a bit of a service as well that you're doing for somebody else. So smiling doesn't only help you, it's going to help other people. But smiling people, the science keeps piling on. People who smile, people who are more optimistic will be more financially successful in life. They will have better relationships. They are going to live longer. with an optimistic outlook, even if you've got a family history of cardiac disease, you're still going to be a third less likely of succumbing to it.
Huh.
I think that stuff's brilliant.
That
You know,
is, yeah, that is amazing. I heard something, it was some time ago, and I wouldn't say I tested it, but I mean, anybody can test this, whether you're sitting down on the couch, a chair, wherever, whether you're alone with your people, with, friends, family, it doesn't matter, is especially alone. If you're sitting on a couch or in a chair, you're sitting by yourself and nothing's happening, and you just crack a smile, just for no reason, just crack a smile, or look at yourself in the mirror and crack a smile. Notice the way your body feels as soon as you do it. You actually start to actually feel happy. The pressure points in the face create this reaction within the entire body. It's crazy. Yeah, it's amazing.
it does indeed. One of the techniques I talked about, how you can incorporate these ideas into just your normal day-to-day routine. So one of the things that I teach, I mean, I just experimented myself, but during COVID, everyone was washing their hands a whole lot more. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to bring in some mindfulness when I wash my hands. Just take a few seconds. It's not a full meditation, but just take a few seconds to appreciate the warmth of the water flowing over my hands, the lather. You do that, I dry my hands. I'll be mindful about it, but then I will look up in the mirror and I will smile at myself. I will take a big diaphragmatic breath. I will look at myself in the mirror and say, "You've got this, Ravinder. You can do this. It's a good day." And it doesn't take any longer than going to the bathroom normally. Maybe it's 10 seconds, 20 seconds, but I get that boost. And that means every time I go and wash my hands, I can get that little boost. And that's going to have great benefits to both your physical and mental health.
Yeah. So where can, for those who are watching, you can see it scrolling on the bottom, but for those who are listening, where can they find you?
They can find me at my website, that is ravindertylor.com. They can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, they can pick up the book wherever books are sold. And I
Yeah.
always like to hear from people. It's the best part of the work I do is getting feedback from people and hearing how their lives have improved as a result. It makes all writing a book is hard work.
Yes, it is.
There isn't any denying. I mean, these things don't happen automatically. Writing a book is hard work. So when I hear back from people and they say, I use this technique, I use that technique, and it really made a difference, well, then that makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's what it's about, spreading that, helping people one person at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then they give the book, they gift the book to somebody else, and then that carries on. It becomes a virus.
The best kind,
Yes.
the best kind, spread happiness,
Yeah.
spread happiness, spread empowerment.
Yeah. We got to heal people. Make everybody happy. And you can imagine what the collective would be like if everybody was happy. Everybody was content and happy with themselves first, and then they can spread that to everybody else. Hopefully. So before we wrap up the show, I always ask our guests what they have to offer as a takeaway for our audience, words of wisdom.
Take back your power. You are more powerful than you know. Use it. Use it to spread good. Make the changes in your life. If there are things that aren't working for you, discover why. The answers are there, and then you'll have the solution and you can break through, but you have the power. You have the power within.
Yeah. Definitely. We got to take our power back. We are very, very powerful. We don't give ourselves enough. Definitely don't give ourselves enough credit.
No, we don't.
Absolutely. And don't get trapped in the social media wormhole.
Do your best. They're going to work at it. They're going to try and capture you. It's not only social media, it's media in general. It's the cliques. It's that rabbit hole. You know, Surround yourself with people with diverse opinions, and you'll be
Hmm.
surprised how similar we are really. So, yeah.
Yeah. Someone always told me too is actually I've heard this from some of the best leaders, thought leaders out there is, and even my father told me, taught me this growing up. He's like, if you want to be the best person, it doesn't matter what. If you want to excel and be full of joy, be full of, whatever power it is, whatever it is that you want, surround yourself with those type of people. You want to be
Yeah.
rich? Surround yourself with rich people. You want to be smart?
Yeah.
Surround yourself with smart people. You want to be intelligent? Surround yourself with intelligent people. That you become the company you keep. So
There is so much truth in that. Absolutely.
yeah, that's why I have people like you on the show. Smart, intelligent, insightful, and welcome to the club.
Thanks so much, Paul. It has been
You're
an
very welcome.
absolute pleasure. Thank
And
you.
you're welcome back anytime, and your husband as well. If he'd like to be on the show and share some of his work as well and stuff, come back as a duo, and yeah, we'll share some of the other work.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Love to.
Thank you, and namaste, my friend. Thank you, and thank you everybody for watching Conscious Radio Network's The Seance Podcast. Until next time, we'll see you then.